I stared at my phone screen, reading the text I had just sent to my ex-husband Marcus for the 10th time. The package is safe. It was a simple message, innocent even, except that there was no package and I had sent it by accident while trying to text my sister. But the reply that came back 3 seconds later made my blood run cold. Good. I prefer my wife alive. My name is Catherine Hayes. I'm 32 years old, and I've been divorced from Marcus for exactly 14 months. We had been married for 6 years, and the divorce was supposed to be amicable. No kids, no major assets to fight over, just two people who had grown apart. Or so I thought. But that text message, that reply, changed everything. Because I wasn't his wife anymore. And what kind of person responds to a message about a package by saying they prefer someone alive? I sat there in my small apartment in Portland, staring at my phone as my hands started shaking. It was a Tuesday evening. I remember that clearly because I had just gotten home from my shift at the veterinary clinic where I work as a technician. I had been meaning to text my sister Rachel about the care package she had sent me for my birthday, but somehow I had selected Marcus's name from my contacts instead. An honest mistake, the kind anyone could make. Except his response suggested that my mistake had revealed something I was never supposed to know. I read his message again. Good. I prefer my wife alive. Wife. Present tense. As if we were still married, as if I was still his. The rational part of my brain tried to find innocent explanations. Maybe he was confused. Maybe he meant ex-wife and just forgot to add the X. Maybe it was autocorrect, or maybe he was being sarcastic. Marcus had a weird sense of humor sometimes. But the other part of my brain, the part that was suddenly remembering all the strange things about our marriage that I had pushed aside, was screaming that something was very, very wrong. I tried calling him, but it went straight to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. I sent another text. What do you mean you preferred your wife alive? We're divorced, Marcus. The 3 dots appeared, showing he was typing, then disappeared. Then appeared again. Then disappeared. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a message came through. Sorry, Kat. Autocorrect. Meant to say, good to hear from you. Hope you're well. But I knew Marcus. I had been with him for 7 years total. Married for 6. I knew when he was lying, and this was a lie. He never called me Kat anymore. He had stopped using that nickname about a year before we got divorced. And the message was too formal, too careful, like he was choosing every word to avoid saying something true. I sat there for 20 minutes trying to figure out what to do. Should I call the police and tell them what? That my ex-husband sent me a weird text? They would think I was paranoid or attention-seeking. Should I call Rachel and tell her? But tell her what exactly? That I had a bad feeling? She already thought I had been too suspicious of Marcus during our marriage. She had been the one telling me I was overthinking things. So I did what any reasonable person would do in the digital age. I started digging through Marcus's social media. We were still friends on social media, which was probably a mistake, but neither of us had bothered to unfriend the other after the divorce. His accounts were mostly private, but I could see his recent posts, and the more I looked, the more things seemed off. 2 weeks ago, he had posted a photo with a caption about starting a new chapter. Nothing unusual about that, except the photo showed him standing in front of a building I recognized. It was the old warehouse district downtown, the area where he used to work before he quit his job 6 months before our divorce. He had told me he quit because he was burned out, because he wanted to pursue freelance consulting. But why would he be back at that area now? I scrolled further back. 3 months ago, a post about how sometimes the best things in life are the ones you fight for. Strange and vague, very unlike Marcus, who usually posted straightforward updates about basketball games or new restaurants he tried. 1 month ago, a check-in at a coffee shop in Seattle. Seattle! Marcus hated Seattle. He had always said it was too rainy, too crowded, and too expensive. We had visited once for a friend's wedding, and he complained the entire time. Why would he go there voluntarily? I was about to close social media when I noticed something else. In the photo from 2 weeks ago, the one in front of the warehouse district, there was a reflection in the window behind him. I zoomed in on my phone, squinting at the blurry image. It looked like another person standing next to him while the photo was taken. A woman, maybe? I couldn't be sure. My phone buzzed and I nearly dropped it. Another text from Marcus. "Look, I know that message was weird. Can we talk? Call me when you get this." Now he wanted to talk. Now after sending that cryptic message and then lying about autocorrect. I called him and this time he answered on the first ring. "Kat," he said, and his voice sounded strained, like he had been running or like he was stressed. "We need to meet." "What is going on, Marcus?" I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Who is this package you were talking about, and why did you say you prefer your wife alive?" There was a pause. Then he said, "I can't explain over the phone. Can you meet me tomorrow morning? There's a diner on Foster Road called Mel's. Do you know it?" "I know it. It was about 15 minutes from my apartment." "But Marcus, you're scaring me. What is this about?" "Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Come alone, and Kat, please don't tell anyone we're meeting." The line went dead. I sat there feeling like I had just stepped into someone else's life. This wasn't how divorced couples communicated. This wasn't normal. Come alone. Don't tell anyone. These were things you heard in movies, not in real-life conversations with someone you used to share a bed with, someone who knew your coffee order and the way you liked your eggs scrambled, not fried. That night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about our marriage, trying to remember if there had been signs that Marcus was involved in something dangerous or illegal. He had worked in logistics for a shipping company, handling supply chains and inventory. Boring work, he always said, but it paid well. Then, about 6 months before we divorced, he came home one day and announced he was quitting. Just like that. No discussion, no warning. I remember being shocked. "Marcus, we have a mortgage," I had said. "What are you going to do?" He told me he had some money saved, that he wanted to try freelance consulting, that he was tired of corporate life. It had seemed impulsive at the time, but also kind of brave. Marcus had always been so careful, so risk-averse. This sudden change felt like maybe he was finally breaking out of his shell. But then things got worse. He became distant, secretive. He would get phone calls at odd hours and step outside to take them. He started password protecting his laptop when he never had before. When I asked him about it, he said he was dealing with confidential client information. I had believed him, or maybe I had wanted to believe him, because the alternative was admitting that my marriage was falling apart. The divorce, when it came, had been his idea. He sat me down one evening and said he thought we had grown apart, that we wanted different things. I had been hurt, but not surprised. We had been barely talking for months. The whole process was quick. We divided our stuff, sold the house, split the modest savings, and went our separate ways. Clean, simple. Or so I thought. But now, lying in bed, staring at my ceiling, I wondered what I had missed. What had Marcus been involved in? And who was the package he thought I was talking about? The next morning, I got to Mel's Diner at 9:45. I wanted to be early to see Marcus arrive, to watch how he acted. I ordered coffee and sat in a booth near the window where I could see the parking lot. At exactly 10 a.m., Marcus pulled up in a car I didn't recognize. Not his old Subaru, but a new black sedan, something expensive looking. He got out and I could see even from a distance that he looked different. He had lost weight, his face was thinner, more angular. He was wearing a suit, which was strange because Marcus lived in jeans and hoodies. He walked into the diner and spotted me immediately. His face broke into a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Kat," he said, sliding into the booth across from me. "Thanks for coming." I didn't say anything. I just looked at him, waiting. He ordered coffee from the waitress, and we sat in silence until she walked away. Then I said, "Explain." Marcus rubbed his face, looking exhausted. "This is complicated," he began. "How much do you want to know?" "Everything," I said. You sent me a message saying you prefer your wife alive, Marcus. I think I deserve to know what that means." He looked around the diner as if checking for someone, then leaned forward. "What I'm about to tell you," he said quietly, "cannot leave this table. You can't tell your sister, your friends, the police, no one. Do you understand?" I felt my heart start to race. Should I be scared right now? He looked at me, and something in his expression softened. "No," he said, "I would never hurt you, Kat. But there are other people who might if they knew you were involved." "Involved in what?" He took a deep breath. "For the past 3 years, I've been working for an organization, not a legal one." "What kind of organization?" I asked, already knowing I didn't want to hear the answer. "The kind that moves things," he said. "People, cargo, information. Things that need to disappear or reappear in different places." "You're talking about trafficking?" I said, the word feeling heavy in my mouth. "Not people," he said quickly. "Well, not primarily. Mostly it's goods, stolen goods, contraband. But yeah, sometimes people who need to relocate quietly." I stared at him, feeling like I was looking at a stranger. "Marcus, you're talking about being a criminal." "I know," he said, "and I'm not proud of it, but I got pulled into it, and once you're in, it's not easy to get out." "How did you get pulled into it?" I demanded. "You worked in logistics for a shipping company." "Exactly," he said. "That's how they found me. I was good at my job. Too good. I found efficiencies, ways to move things faster, to avoid inspections. Someone noticed and made me an offer. More money than I had ever seen. All I had to do was look the other way occasionally, help shipments bypass certain checkpoints. I said no at first. But, Kat, we were struggling with the mortgage, your student loans, my mom's medical bills." I felt sick. "So you became a criminal to pay our bills." He winced. "I became a criminal because I was weak. And by the time I realized how deep I was in, it was too late. They had leverage over me, records of what I had done. If I tried to leave, they would have exposed me, or worse." This was insane. I was sitting in a diner listening to my ex-husband confess to crimes. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "Because of your text," he said. "When you sent that message about the package being safe, I thought you were someone else." "Who?" "One of my contacts," he said. "There's a woman, Elena, who sometimes acts as a courier. She uses burner phones, changes numbers frequently. When I got your text, I thought it was her using a new number, and I responded without thinking." "And the package?" I asked. "What is it, really?" "Not it," he corrected her. I felt my stomach drop. "Her. It's a person," Marcus said. "A woman who needs to disappear. She witnessed something she shouldn't have, something involving some very dangerous people. My organization was hired to relocate her, give her a new identity. Elena was supposed to be transporting her to a safe house, and I thought your text was confirmation that they had arrived safely. That's why I said I prefer my wife alive. I meant Elena. I still think of her as my wife, even though we're divorced." It was a slip. "Wait," I said. "Hold on. You just said you think of her as your wife, Elena." I was confused. He shook his head. "No, Kat, I meant you. I still think of you as my wife sometimes. It's habit." "But that doesn't make sense," I said. "If you thought I was Elena, why would you respond about me?" He looked frustrated. "I wasn't thinking clearly, Kat. When I saw the message, I was relieved because we had been worried about this particular package. She's high risk. And in my relief, I just responded without thinking about how it sounded." This was getting more confusing by the second. "Okay," I said, trying to organize my thoughts. "So there's a woman you're helping relocate, and you thought I was your contact confirming she was safe." "Yes." "And you responded that you prefer your wife, me, alive, which was just you being confused." He nodded. "So what now?" I asked. "Now," Marcus said, "you need to forget this conversation. Forget the text, forget everything I've told you. Go back to your life and pretend we never spoke." "That's it?" I said. "You confessed to being part of a criminal organization, and I'm just supposed to go home and forget about it?" "What choice do you have?" he asked. "If you go to the police, you'll put me in prison, and you'll also put yourself in danger. These people don't take kindly to loose ends."
Are you threatening me? I asked, standing up. He grabbed my wrist. Not threatening, he said, pleading. Kat, I'm trying to protect you. The best thing you can do is walk away. I pulled my hand free. I need time to think, I said. Please, he said, just stay out of this. I left the diner feeling like the ground was shifting under my feet. In the parking lot, I sat in my car for 10 minutes, trying to process everything. Marcus was involved in human trafficking or something close to it. He had been living a double life during our marriage, lying to me every day. And now he wanted me to just forget about it? I couldn't. I knew I couldn't. But I also didn't know what to do. If I went to the police, Marcus would go to prison. Part of me thought he deserved that, but another part, the part that had loved him for 7 years, couldn't quite bring herself to make that call. And then there was the other issue. He had said these people were dangerous, that I would be in danger if I got involved. Was that true, or was he just trying to scare me into silence? I drove home on autopilot. When I got back to my apartment, I found Rachel sitting on my doorstep. Kat, she said, standing up when she saw me. I've been calling you all morning. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said, unlocking my door. Why? You tell me, she followed me inside. You sounded weird when we texted last night. What's going on? I hadn't realized I had texted her. I checked my phone and saw that I had sent her a message around midnight, just a simple, hey, are you up? She had responded, but I must have fallen asleep before seeing it. Nothing, I said. I just couldn't sleep. Rachel gave me a look. She was 2 years younger than me, but somehow always seemed more together, more confident. She worked as a lawyer for a nonprofit and had a way of reading people that made her good at her job and annoying as a sister. You're lying, she said. What happened? I wanted to tell her. I wanted to tell someone because carrying this alone felt impossible. But Marcus said not to tell anyone. Should I trust him? Should I believe that telling Rachel would put her in danger? Or was that just manipulation? In the end, I compromised. I had coffee with Marcus this morning, I said. Rachel raised her eyebrows. Your ex, Marcus? Why? He wanted to talk, I said, being vague. And it was weird, I admitted. He said some things that didn't make sense. Like what? I hesitated. Like he might be in trouble. What kind of trouble? I don't know, I lied. I just got a bad feeling. Rachel studied me. Kat, if Marcus is in some kind of trouble, you need to stay away from him. You've been divorced for over a year. You don't owe him anything. I know, I said, but what if he needs help? Then he can find a therapist, she said bluntly. You spent 6 years trying to fix that man's problems. Don't start again now that you're finally free. She wasn't wrong. Our marriage had been exhausting toward the end. Marcus's mood swings, his secrecy, his distance. I had spent so much energy trying to understand him, trying to help him, and in the end, it hadn't mattered. He had still wanted the divorce. But this felt different. This felt dangerous. After Rachel left, I spent the rest of the day trying to distract myself. I went to work, where I assisted with 3 routine checkups and 1 emergency, a dog who had eaten chocolate. I focused on the animals, on the tasks in front of me, and tried not to think about Marcus or packages or people who needed to disappear. But that night, alone in my apartment, my mind wandered back. I kept thinking about what Marcus had said about the woman who needed to disappear. Who was she? What had she witnessed? And why did Marcus's organization agree to help her? I made a decision that I knew was probably stupid. I was going to find out more. Not because I wanted to get involved, but because I needed to understand what I was walking away from. If I was going to stay silent, I needed to know what I was staying silent about. The next morning, I called in sick to work. Then I drove to the warehouse district where I had seen Marcus's photo on social media. I didn't have a plan exactly. I just wanted to see if I could find anything that would explain what Marcus was involved in. The warehouse district was old industrial buildings that had mostly been converted into offices and studios. I parked on the street and walked around, trying to remember which building had been in the background of Marcus's photo. It took me 20 minutes, but I finally found it, a 4-story red brick building with large windows. There was a small sign by the entrance listing the businesses inside. Art studios mostly, a photography gallery, a design firm, nothing that screamed criminal organization. I was about to leave when I saw her. A woman, maybe late 20s, with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She was walking quickly toward the building, looking over her shoulder like she was checking if anyone was following her. Something about her made me pause. Maybe it was the nervous energy, or maybe it was just intuition, but I had a feeling this was Elena, the contact Marcus had mentioned. I followed her at a distance. She went into the building, and I waited a few minutes before going in after her. The lobby was small, with a directory on the wall and stairs leading up. I could hear footsteps on the stairs above me. I followed the sound up to the 3rd floor. The hallway was empty, but I could hear voices coming from behind one of the doors. A door marked with no company name, just a number, 3C. I moved closer, trying to hear. There were at least 2 people talking, a man and a woman. The door opened suddenly, and I jumped back. A man walked out, someone I didn't recognize. He looked at me suspiciously. "Can I help you?" he asked. "I'm looking for the photography studio," I said, improvising. "4th floor," he said, still watching me. I thanked him and turned toward the stairs. As I walked away, I heard him say something to someone inside the room, something about not recognizing me. I hurried down the stairs and out of the building. My heart was racing. What was I doing? I had no business playing detective. I got back to my car and sat there, trying to calm down. This was stupid. Marcus had told me to stay away, and here I was following strangers and sneaking around buildings. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I know you were at the warehouse. We need to talk. Now. Meet me at Pioneer Square in 1 hour. Come alone." I stared at the message. Who was this? How did they know I was at the warehouse? Unless someone had been watching me. I should have gone home. I should have blocked the number and forgotten the whole thing. Instead, I drove to Pioneer Square. The square was busy with tourists and office workers on lunch breaks. I sat on a bench near the fountain and waited. After about 10 minutes, the woman I had seen earlier, the one I thought might be Elena, sat down next to me. "You're Marcus's ex-wife," she said, not looking at me. "Who are you?" I asked. "Someone who's trying to keep you alive," she said. "You need to stop asking questions. You're drawing attention." "I don't know what you're talking about," I lied. She turned to look at me. "You were at the warehouse this morning. One of our people saw you trying to listen at the door. Did Marcus send you?" "No," I said. "He told me to stay away." "Then why didn't you?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I just needed to understand." She sighed. "Marcus cares about you," she said. "Even after the divorce, he talks about you sometimes. Says you deserve better than what he put you through." "Then help me understand," I said. "What is he involved in? What are you involved in?" "I can't tell you that," she said. "But I can tell you that you're in danger now. By coming to that warehouse, by being seen, you've made yourself a person of interest." "To who?" "To people who don't like questions." She stood up. "You need to leave Portland. Tonight, if possible. Go stay with family out of state for a few weeks." "I can't just leave. I have a job, a life." "Your job won't matter if you're dead," she said bluntly. And then she walked away, disappearing into the crowd. I sat there stunned. This was real. This wasn't Marcus being dramatic or trying to manipulate me. These people, whoever they were, considered me a threat. I called Marcus.
He answered immediately. "Kat, what did you do?" "Someone just told me to leave Portland," I said. "A woman. I think it was Elena." He swore. "Why were you at the warehouse?" I needed answers. "You're going to get yourself killed," he said. "Kat, you need to listen to me. Pack a bag and get out of the city. Go to Rachel's in Seattle or your dad's in California, anywhere but here." "For how long?" "I don't know," he said. "I need to fix this." "Fix what? What did I do that's so dangerous?" "You made them notice you," he said, "and that's enough. These people operate in shadows. Anyone who looks too closely becomes a problem." I felt anger rising. "I didn't ask for this, Marcus. You pulled me into this with your cryptic text and your confession." "I know," he said, "and I'm sorry. But right now, we need to focus on keeping you safe.
Meet me tonight at the diner, 8 p.m. I'll explain everything then, I promise. I hung up and sat there trying to figure out what to do. Should I run? Should I go to the police? Should I trust Marcus? I decided to call Rachel. She answered on the second ring, sounding annoyed. Kat, I'm in a meeting. This better be important. I need to come stay with you, I said. Tonight. What? Why? I'll explain when I get there, I said. Can I stay for a few days? Maybe a week? There was a pause. Of course, she said. You know you're always welcome. Is everything okay? No, I said, honestly, but I will be. I'll text you when I'm on the road. After we hung up, I sat in my car and tried to think rationally. If I was really in danger, then leaving made sense, but I also didn't want to run without understanding what I was running from. I decided to meet Marcus at the diner like he asked. I would hear what he had to say, and then I would leave. That evening, I packed a bag. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop. I called my boss at the clinic and told her I had a family emergency and needed to take some time off. She was understanding, told me not to worry. At 7:30, I drove to the diner. I was early again, wanting to scope things out. The parking lot was mostly empty. I went inside and ordered coffee, sat in the same booth as before. At 8 p.m., Marcus arrived, looking even more stressed than he had the day before. He slid into the booth and immediately said, "Thank you for coming." "Just tell me what's going on," I said. "The whole truth this time." He took a deep breath. "The organization I work for," he began, "is bigger than I made it sound. It's not just moving goods or helping people relocate. They're involved in everything: trafficking, money laundering, blackmail. And I'm not just some low-level employee anymore. I've been running operations, managing logistics for the whole West Coast." I stared at him. "You're telling me you're high up in a criminal organization?" He nodded. "And the woman, Elena, she's not just a courier. She's my partner. We've been working together for 2 years. When I divorced you, it wasn't because we grew apart. It was because I was already involved with someone else." I felt like I had been punched. "You cheated on me?" "Not physically," he said. "Not at first, but emotionally, yes. Elaine and we connected over the work. She understood me in ways that—" He stopped, seeing my face. "I'm sorry, Kat." I wanted to scream at him, to throw my coffee in his face, to walk out, but I needed to hear the rest. "Go on," I said, through gritted teeth. "Elena and I have been trying to get out," he said. "We've been skimming money, hiding it, planning to disappear. But the organization found out. A week ago, they confronted us, told us we either stay and fix the problem or we die." "The woman you're relocating," I said. "Is that even real?" "It's real," he said, "but it's also a test. They want to see if we'll complete the job, if we're still loyal. If we succeed, they might let us live." "Might?" He shrugged. "These aren't people who forgive easily. And where do I fit into this?" I asked. "You don't," he said. "That's the point. You were never supposed to know any of this. But when you showed up at the warehouse, they saw you. They think you might be working with me, that we might have told you something. So they want me dead?" "Not yet," he said, "but they're watching you. If you do anything suspicious, if you contact the police, if you talk to the wrong person, then yes, they'll eliminate the threat." "How do I make them stop watching me?" I asked. "You can't," he said. "Once you're on their radar, you stay there. Unless..." "Unless what?" "Unless we give them something else to focus on," he said. "Elena and I have been working on a plan. We're going to complete this job, relocate the witness, and then we're going to disappear. New identities, new lives. If we do that, if we give them no reason to doubt our loyalty, they might forget about you. And if they don't, then I will make sure you're protected," he said. "I still have some leverage, some information they don't want getting out. I can use that to keep you safe." This was insane. My ex-husband and his girlfriend were planning to fake their deaths or disappear or something, and somehow that was supposed to protect me? "I don't trust you, Marcus," I said. "You've done nothing but lie to me." "I know," he said, "but you don't have a choice. Either you trust me, or you go to the police and we all die." I stood up.
I'm leaving Portland tonight, I said. I'm going to stay with Rachel for a while. When this is over, when you've done whatever you're planning, you let me know. And then I never want to hear from you again. Kat, wait. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Leave me alone, Marcus, I said, and I walked out. I drove home feeling numb. I threw my packed bag in the car and started driving north toward Seattle, toward Rachel's apartment. It was a 3-hour drive, and I spent most of it replanning the conversation in my head. Marcus had cheated on me, emotionally at least, maybe physically too. He had been lying to me for years, living a completely separate life, and now that life was threatening mine. I wanted to hate him. Part of me did hate him, but another part remembered the man I had fallen in love with, the guy who brought me coffee in bed on Sunday mornings, who learned to cook my favorite meals, who held me when my mom died. That Marcus felt like a different person. Maybe he was. Around midnight, I pulled into Rachel's apartment building in Capitol Hill. She buzzed me up and met me at the door. Kat, what's going on? You look terrible. I started crying. I hadn't meant to, but seeing someone safe and familiar broke something in me. She pulled me inside and I told her everything. About the texts, about Marcus's confession, about the warehouse and Elena and the threats. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she said, "We're going to the police." "No," I said, "they'll kill him." "He deserves it," she said. "Kat, he pulled you into something dangerous. We need to handle this legally." I shook my head. "I need time to think," I said. "Can I just stay here for a few days?" She looked like she wanted to argue, but finally nodded. "Fine," she said, "but if anything else happens, if anyone threatens you, we're calling the police immediately." I agreed. That night, I slept on Rachel's couch and had nightmares. I dreamed about Marcus, about warehouses, about people chasing me through dark streets. I woke up at dawn feeling exhausted. Rachel had already left for work, but she had left a note. "Stay as long as you need. Love you." I spent the day trying to distract myself. I watched TV, read a book, went for a walk, but I couldn't stop thinking about Marcus and Elena and whoever these dangerous people were. Around 5 p.m., I got a text from the unknown number again, the one that had told me to leave Portland. "Your ex-husband is making things worse. If you want to live, tell him to stop." I stared at the message. "Tell him to stop what?" I texted back. Another message came. "He's planning something. A betrayal. If he goes through with it, we'll have no choice but to eliminate everyone involved, including you." I felt panic rising. What betrayal? What is he planning? The response came quickly. "Ask him yourself. But do it soon. Time is running out." I called Marcus, but it went to voicemail. I tried Elena's number, the one I had found in Marcus's old phone records, but it was disconnected. I was about to call again when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello?" "Kat." It was Elena's voice. "I need you to listen carefully." "Where's Marcus?" I demanded. "What's going on?" "He's in trouble," she said. "We're both in trouble. The job, the witness we were supposed to relocate, it went wrong." "What do you mean wrong?" "The witness is dead," she said. "Someone got to her before we could move her, and now the organization thinks we're let it happen on purpose." "Did you?" I asked. Elena was silent for a moment. "We were trying to," she admitted. "We thought if the witness died, the organization would have no reason to keep us around. We could disappear. But it backfired. They think we're working with the police." "You are working with the police," I said. "No," she said. "We were working for ourselves. But it doesn't matter now. They're coming for us, and they're coming for you too." "Why me?" I asked. "I'm not involved in this." "Because they think you are," she said. "They saw you at the warehouse. They know you met with Marcus. They think you're part of our plan." I felt sick. "Where are you now?" I asked. "Hiding," she said, "but we can't hide forever. Marcus wanted me to call you to warn you. You need to get somewhere safe, somewhere they can't find you." "I'm in Seattle," I said, "at my sister's." "That's good," she said. "Stay there. Don't leave. Don't talk to anyone." "How long?" I asked. "How long do I have to hide?" "I don't know," she said. "We're trying to fix this, but..." The line went dead. I tried calling back, but the number was disconnected.
I sat there on Rachel's couch, feeling trapped. This was my life now, hiding, waiting for dangerous people to decide whether I lived or died, and all because of a mistaken text message. Rachel came home an hour later with takeout Thai food. "We need to talk," she said, sitting down next to me. "About what?" "About calling the police," she said. "Kat, this has gone too far. These people are threatening your life." "I know," I said. "But if I go to the police, Marcus and Alina will die." "And maybe that's what needs to happen," she said harshly. "They're criminals, Kat. They're involved in trafficking and money laundering and who knows what else. Why are you protecting them?"
"Because I said," feeling tears start, "he's still Marcus. I know he lied. I know he did terrible things, but I can't just send him to his death." Rachel softened. "I know you loved him," she said, "but you need to love yourself more. Your safety comes first." Before we could continue, my phone rang. Unknown number again. I answered. "Kat?" It was Marcus's voice, and he sounded terrified. "They found us." "Where are you?" I asked. "Doesn't matter," he said. "They're outside. Elena's trying to negotiate, but I don't think it's going to work." "Marcus?" "Listen to me," he interrupted. "Whatever happens, you need to know I'm sorry. For everything. For lying, for pulling you into this, for ruining your life." "You didn't ruin my life," I said, surprised to find I meant it. "I'm going to be okay." "Good," he said. "I need you to do something for me." "Anything." "Tell Rachel to check her email," he said. "I sent her something an hour ago. It's insurance. Everything I know about the organization. Names, dates, accounts. If something happens to me, she needs to get it to the FBI." "Why would you send it to Rachel?" I asked. "Why not me?" "Because they're watching you," he said. "But they don't know about Rachel. Tell her." "I will," I said. "Marcus, are you going to be okay?" "I don't know," he said, honestly, "but I hope so." The line went dead. I looked at Rachel. "Check your email," I said. "Marcus sent you something." She pulled out her laptop and opened her email. After a minute, she said, "I've got it. It's a file labeled insurance." "What is it?" I asked. She opened it and started reading. Her face went pale. "Kat, this is..." He paused. "This is everything. Names, addresses, financial records. If this is real, it could take down a major criminal organization." "Send it to the FBI," I said. "That's what Marcus wanted." "Are you sure?" she asked. "Once we do this, there's no going back. Marcus could be arrested. He could go to prison." "I know," I said, "but he made his choices. Now we need to make ours." Rachel nodded and started composing an email to the FBI field office. While she did, I sat there thinking about Marcus, about our marriage, about all the moments I had been happy before everything fell apart. I thought about Sunday mornings and coffee in bed. I thought about the way he used to laugh at my terrible jokes. I thought about the man I had loved and wondered when he had become someone I didn't recognize. Rachel hit send. "Done," she said. "Now what?" "Now," I said, "we wait." We waited 3 days. 3 days of staying in Rachel's apartment, barely sleeping, jumping at every sound. Rachel took time off work to stay with me. We watched movies, ordered delivery, played card games, anything to pass the time. On the 3rd day, we got a knock on the door. Rachel looked through the peephole and then opened the door. 2 people in FBI windbreakers stood outside. "Are you Rachel Hayes?" one of them asked. "Yes." "And you're Catherine Hayes, formerly Catherine Kane?" "Yes," I said, my heart pounding. "We need you both to come with us," they said. "We have some questions about information we received." We went to the FBI field office in downtown Seattle. They put us in separate rooms. An agent named Sarah Chen interviewed me. She was professional, but not unkind. "Tell me about your relationship with Marcus Kane," she said. I told her everything. The marriage, the divorce, the text messages, Marcus's confession about the organization, the threats, Elena, all of it. She took notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When I finished, she said, "You've been very helpful, Catherine." "Are Marcus and Elena okay?" I asked. "Are they alive?" Agent Chen hesitated.
Marcus Kane was taken into custody 2 days ago, she said, along with several other members of the organization you described. He's cooperating with our investigation. And Elena? I asked. Elena Volkov is also in custody, but I have to tell you that some of what Marcus told you wasn't entirely accurate. What do you mean? I asked. Marcus Kane wasn't just a mid-level logistics manager, she said. He was one of the founding members of this organization. He helped build it from the ground up. And Elena wasn't his partner trying to escape. She was an undercover FBI agent. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. What? Elena Volkov has been embedded in this organization for 3 years, Agent Chan explained. She was getting close to having enough evidence to bring them down. But then Marcus figured out she was FBI. He tried to blackmail her, threatened to expose her unless she helped him escape. I couldn't speak. Marcus lied to you about a lot of things, Agent Chen said, but the threat to your safety was real. Once you showed up at that warehouse, you became a witness, someone who could potentially identify people, places. The organization wanted you eliminated, and Marcus used that threat to manipulate you. Why? I finally asked. Why would he do that? Because he thought you could help him, she said. He thought if he could scare you enough, you would do whatever he asked, maybe help him escape, maybe provide him with resources. He was using you, just like he used you throughout your marriage. I felt numb. Everything Marcus had told me was a lie. The story about getting pulled into the organization, about trying to escape with Elena, about wanting to protect me.
All lies. You're safe now, Agent Chen. Said the major players in the organization are in custody. The few who are still out there are more concerned with saving themselves than coming after you. I nodded, unable to form words. After the interview, Rachel and I went back to her apartment. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, she said, "I'm sorry, Kat." "I am too," I said, "but I don't know what I'm sorry for." "For believing him?" she suggested. I shook my head. "For still caring about him even after everything." Rachel put her arm around me. "That's not something to be sorry for," she said. "It means you have a good heart." Even if mine was broken, I thought. The next few weeks were a blur. The FBI had more questions, more interviews. I learned more about Marcus's crimes, about the people who had been hurt, about the money that had been stolen and laundered. I learned that our entire marriage had been built on lies, that the man I thought I knew had never really existed. Marcus tried to contact me from prison. I didn't respond. What was there to say? A month after Marcus's arrest, I went back to Portland, back to my apartment, back to my job at the clinic. Life slowly started to feel normal again, but I was different now. I was more careful, more suspicious. I didn't trust as easily. One evening, about 2 months after everything happened, I got a letter. It was from Marcus. I almost threw it away, but curiosity got the better of me. "Dear Kat," it read, "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness and I'm not asking for it. I just need you to know that everything I told you was a lie. Except for one thing. I did love you. Maybe not in the way you deserved, but in the only way I was capable of. You were the one good thing in my life, and I destroyed it because that's what I do. I destroy things. I hope you can move on and find someone who deserves you, someone who will give you the life you should have had. I'm sorry for everything. Marcus." I read the letter 3 times. Then I threw it away. Because whether he loved me or not didn't matter. He had still lied. He had still manipulated me. He had still put my life in danger, and I was done letting him take up space in my head. 6 months later, I got a call from Agent Chen. "I wanted to let you know," she said, "that Marcus Kane was sentenced today, 15 years in federal prison. How do you feel about that?" she asked. I thought about it. "I don't feel anything," I finally said, "and that's probably for the best," she agreed. "One more thing," she said. "Elena Volkov asked me to pass along a message. She wanted you to know that you helped us more than you realize. Your information, your testimony, it helped us piece together parts of the case we were struggling with. Tell her," I said, "I'm glad something good came out of this." After I hung up, I sat on my couch in my apartment and thought about everything that had happened. A simple text message had unraveled my entire life. Or maybe it had just revealed what was already there. The lies, the betrayal,
the danger I had been living with without knowing it. But I had survived. I had made it through, and now I was building a new life. One without Marcus. One without secrets. One where I knew exactly who I was and what I wanted. A year after the text message, I was sitting in the same coffee shop where Marcus had once told me he was quitting his job. I was working on my laptop doing freelance graphic design. I had started taking classes again. A man sat down at the table next to mine. We made eye contact and he smiled. "Hi," he said. "I'm David." "Hi," I said back. "I'm Kat." We started talking. About nothing important. About the weather and the coffee and our favorite books. It was easy and normal and real. And when he asked for my number, I gave it to him. Because I was ready to trust again. Not blindly, like before, but carefully, with my eyes open. I texted Rachel that night. "Met someone," she replied immediately. "Tell me everything." And I did, because that's what you do when you survive something terrible. You find the people who love you and you hold on to them. You rebuild, you move forward, and you remember that not every text message is a disaster. Sometimes they're just the beginning of something new. Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks, so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.